What if every breath you've ever taken was a spell, a command whispered into the architecture of reality? Most people breathe unconsciously, unaware that with every inhale, they're tuning their frequency, and with every exhale, they're shaping the hologram of their life. You've been taught to see breath as survival, but ancient mystics, yogic sages, and quantum pioneers knew otherwise. They saw breath as the interface between thought and form, between intention and manifestation. In today's transmission, we dive into the lost art of breathing with power, the exact way to inhale energy, exhale command, and tap into the frequency where the universe stops resisting and starts responding. Because once you breathe like this, reality doesn't just shift, it obeys. Most people think of breath as a biological necessity. Inhale oxygen, exhale carbon dioxide. That's the basic loop. But what if that cycle is far more than survival? What if every breath is a quantum command, rippling through the field of infinite potential, shaping particles into experience based on the energy behind it? Ancient traditions knew this. They called breath prana, chi, ruach, sacred life force. And modern science is only beginning to catch up. In quantum terms, reality doesn't exist until it's observed. That's the observer effect. The field, the quantum field, remains in potential until consciousness enters the scene. But breath isn't just the body's fuel. It's the vehicle of awareness. Every conscious breath anchors intention. It's a declaration to the field. This is who I am. This is what I choose. When you combine that with elevated emotion, you start to command the atoms around you. Gregg Braden often speaks of how emotion, breath, and heart coherence shift the electromagnetic field around the body. That field, in turn, speaks directly to the quantum web of existence. So when you breathe with awareness, and infuse that breath with clarity of desire and gratitude, you alter your energetic signature. You move from passive experiencer to conscious architect of the moment. Breath is how spirit enters form. It's the link between the non-physical and the physical. Consider this: the moment a baby is born, it inhales and life begins. The final moment of life ends with an exhale. Breath is bookend and bridge, and in between, it's the most consistent, untapped spiritual tool you have. But most people never use it consciously. They never learn how to aim it like a laser into the quantum field. When you begin to breathe with precision, presence, and purpose, reality listens. It's not just about deep breathing, it's about breathing with knowing, with inner stillness, with electric focus. That's when the air stops being just air and becomes your wand, your compass, your declaration to the universe. I am awake, and I remember my power. Synchronicity isn't just a lucky accident. It's a vibrational mirror. And one of the most direct ways to summon synchronicity into your life is through something few ever learn to master: heart-brain coherence. The breath is the key. Because when your breath slows down, your heart rhythm stabilizes. When your heart stabilizes, it sends coherent signals to your brain. And when your brain is in sync with your heart, you don't just attract miracles, you become the miracle. Dr. Joe Dispenza speaks of coherence as the energetic harmony between thoughts and emotions, between the mental and the magnetic. The heart generates an electromagnetic field 5,000 times more powerful than the brain's. That field is a broadcasting signal. So when your breath aligns your heart with peace, gratitude, or joy, your electromagnetic field begins to pulse that frequency outward, touching people, events, and circumstances long before your mind is even aware. Most people live in incoherence, stressed breath, chaotic heart rhythms, scattered thoughts, and so their signal to the quantum field is fuzzy, distorted. They ask for abundance but breathe anxiety. They visualize love but inhale fear. But coherence brings clarity. It says to the field, this vibration is who I am now. And the universe, governed by the law of vibration, must reflect that back. There's a reason ancient yogis spent decades mastering breathwork before meditation. Coherence is the gateway to altered states of consciousness. It's what allows intuition to become louder than thought. When breath slows to 5 to 6 breaths per minute, it becomes a rhythm the heart recognizes. The nervous system shifts, the mind calms, the inner static dissolves, and that's when synchronicities appear, not by chance, but by alignment. In that state, time bends. You think of someone and they call. You follow a nudge and it leads to your next breakthrough. Life becomes less of a struggle and more of a dance, a co-created rhythm between your inner harmony and the field of potential, all from one simple shift. Breathing not just to survive, but to sync your heart and mind into a singular, powerful frequency of manifestation. Long before biohacking and neuroscience, the yogis of ancient India discovered something astonishing, that breath controls more than oxygen. It commands energy itself. They called this science Pranayama, the control of life force. And unlike Western breathing techniques, Pranayyama wasn't just about calming the mind. It was a metaphysical art, a way to activate dormant energies, open higher centers of consciousness, and influence reality from the inside out. The word prana means life force, the invisible current that animates all living things. A yama means to extend or expand, so pranayama is not just breath control. It's the expansion of the life force within. It teaches that the quality of your breath determines the quality of your vibration. And vibration is reality. Breathe shallow, live shallow. Breathe consciously, live consciously, in higher frequencies where time dilates, intuition sharpens, and reality becomes fluid. In the ancient texts of the Upanishads and the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, it's said that by mastering the breath, one masters the senses, and through the senses gains control over the inner and outer universe. Certain breath patterns, like Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing, balance the hemispheres of the brain. Others, like Kapalabhati or skull shining breath, awaken the third eye and detoxify the mind. But all share one secret. They tune your energetic body like a sacred instrument. Modern science is beginning to validate what sages have known for millennia. Controlled breathing reduces cortisol, increases HRV, heart rate variability, and activates the parasympathetic nervous system. But the yogis go further. They say breath also awakens Kundalini, the coiled spiritual energy at the base of the spine. Through pranayama, you can begin to raise that energy, unlocking higher centers of consciousness and divine awareness. To practice pranayama is to remember that you are not a body with breath. You are a soul commanding energy through breath. You are tuning your own frequency like a radio dial, aligning yourself to receive new timelines, intuitive downloads, and realities that match your vibration. And once you master this ancient science, you don't chase manifestations. You breathe them into being. In quantum physics, there's a phenomenon so strange, so reality-altering, that it challenges everything we think we know about the universe. It's called the observer effect. It tells us that particles, the building blocks of reality, do not exist in a fixed state until observed. Observation collapses possibility into form. But here's the hidden key most miss. Observation isn't just what you see with your eyes. It's what you breathe with your awareness. Every conscious breath is an act of quantum observation. It's the moment when your attention fuses with intention and collapses the infinite wave of potential into one concrete outcome. The breath is what anchors your attention into the now, and the now is the only place the quantum field responds to. When you breathe with awareness, you aren't just inhaling air. You're issuing a command to reality. This is the frequency I choose. This is the timeline I claim. This is why breathwork can be more powerful than visualization. Visualization is mental, but breath is energetic. Breath enters the body, but it also enters the field. It bridges the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. The ancient Hermeticists knew this, and in secret schools, initiates were taught breathing rituals to direct their thought energy into the matrix of matter. Because when you observe the field while breathing intentionally, you change the waveform of your reality. Neville Goddard often taught that imagining with feeling creates reality. Breath amplifies that feeling. Imagine a desire. Now breathe into it slowly with presence, gratitude, and certainty. That breath becomes the vessel of your intention, infused with emotion, charged by the electromagnetic pulse of your heart. You've now sent a message into the quantum, and the field must respond because the observer has spoken. In truth, the universe isn't responding to your wishes. It's responding to your frequency. And breath is the fastest way to alter your frequency on command. So if you ever feel stuck, scattered, or disconnected, stop, breathe, observe your inner world, and choose again. Because the moment you breathe with full awareness, you stop being a passenger in the simulation and become the programmer. The subconscious mind is the hidden engine of your reality. It controls 95% of your daily behavior, decisions, and emotional reactions, most of it on autopilot. But here's the secret. While the subconscious is hard to reach through logic, it's highly receptive to rhythm. And breath, especially rhythmic breath, is the most ancient and direct way to enter the subconscious temple and rewrite its script. Every pattern in your body is mirrored in the mind. Erratic breath mirrors chaos, shallow breath mirrors fear. But when you breathe in a steady, rhythmic flow, you begin to entrain the subconscious to safety, to trust, to coherence. That rhythm becomes a code, and the subconscious, like a child, responds to repetition and emotional imprint. So when you pair rhythmic breath with elevated feelings, like love, gratitude, or peace, you create new neural grooves and energetic instructions. Bruce Lipton teaches that the subconscious is a programmable system, but most people try to reprogram it with willpower alone. It rarely works. Why? Because willpower is a conscious effort, and the subconscious doesn't speak that language. It speaks through imagery, vibration, and felt experience. And breath, especially when practiced consistently, becomes the bridge. Each breath cycle becomes a hypnotic rhythm that slips beneath the critical mind and alters the energetic software. This is why breathwork can dissolve trauma stored in the body, not by talking about it, but by changing the frequency the body is vibrating at. Through breath, you can reverse patterns of fear, shame, or limitation imprinted years ago. You're not fighting the subconscious. You're retraining it with new sensory input. With every inhale, you install a new belief. With every exhale, you release the old coding. So if you want to manifest a new reality, don't just affirm it. Breathe it in, rhythmically, daily, deliberately. Let your breath become a mantra without words. Let it sing a new program into your nervous system. Because when the subconscious aligns with your conscious desires, you stop self-sabotaging, and reality begins to reshape itself effortlessly around your new internal frequency. There's a still point beneath all motion, a silence beneath all noise, a place the mystics call the zero-point field. It's where matter dissolves into pure energy, where time folds in on itself and creation begins anew. And while the concept may sound distant or abstract, the gateway to it lies within your own body, through the breath. Because when you breathe a certain way, you don't just calm the mind, you collapse into the zero point where thought ceases and being takes over. This zero point isn't nothingness. It's everythingness, pure potential, unshaped, unformed, waiting for instruction. It's the space between your inhale and exhale, that brief stillness where the entire quantum field listens. Ancient Taoist breathwork focused precisely on this pause. Not just the breath, but the emptiness between breaths. That pause is the portal, because in that moment, you're outside of time. You are no longer becoming, you simply are. In that breathless space, you meet your true self, not the identity built from memory, but the awareness behind the mask. It's here that intention becomes most powerful, because when you breathe into the 0 point, there's no resistance, no duality. The veil between the subconscious and the quantum field dissolves, and anything imagined in that space carries the full creative force of the cosmos. This is why deep breathwork, such as holotropic, Wim Hof, or Soma breathing, often brings people into mystical states. It's not just oxygen, it's access to visions, downloads, expansive stillness. You're not just oxygenating the body, you're entering the timeless void where miracles are conceived. From that silence, you can whisper your desires into the field, and they echo back as physical form. So the next time you breathe, pay attention to the space between. That momentary stillness is not empty, it's sacred. It's the womb of the universe, the original canvas. And every time you return to it, you don't just reset your nervous system, you re-enter the cosmic source code and have the chance to write something new. Manifestation isn't wishful thinking, it's electromagnetic instruction. Your thoughts are electrical, your emotions are magnetic. Together, they form a broadcast signal that instructs the quantum field. But most people overlook the amplifier hiding in plain sight, the breath, because breath is not just a biological process, it's the carrier wave of belief. It infuses your thoughts and feelings with presence, coherence, and power. Here's the truth. Belief alone doesn't create. It's believed with feeling, and breath generates that feeling in the body. Breath is the alchemical element that takes a fleeting thought and makes it real to your nervous system. The moment you breathe belief into your body, you create a somatic imprint, and the body, not the mind, is what the quantum field reads. That's where true magnetic energy begins. This is why breathwork can turn a mental affirmation into a visceral reality. When you breathe slowly into a belief, I am worthy, I am abundant, I am healed, you shift from thinking it to being it. The nervous system begins to memorize that state. The heart begins to pulse a new frequency, and the magnetic field around your body changes shape. The outer world has no choice but to respond. Gregg Braden teaches that heart-brain harmony is the true key to manifestation, but breath is what connects those two centers. The breath calms the brain, activates the heart, and links them in coherence. That coherent field sends a strong, focused signal into the fabric of reality. It's no longer a scattered desire, it becomes a magnetic truth, a new attractor field. And what you attract is no longer based on past programming, but on present alignment. So manifestation isn't just about thinking better thoughts. It's about breathing in alignment with those thoughts until belief becomes biology, until the electromagnetic field around your body pulses with certainty. Breath by breath, you turn your energy into a magnet, and that magnet doesn't chase. It draws everything toward you, effortlessly. Reality isn't fixed. It's a hologram, a living mirror shaped by vibration, intention, and perception. The outer world reflects your inner state like a multidimensional echo, and one of the most powerful tools to tune that inner frequency is the breath. Not just any breath, but conscious, intentional breath that vibrates in harmony with the reality you wish to step into. Nassim Haramein and other unified field theorists suggest that every particle is connected through a vast sea of information, a cosmic web of vibration. This web responds to frequency, and your body is a transmitter. When you change the rhythm and depth of your breath, you literally shift the frequency of your electromagnetic field, and when your field changes, the hologram you walk through begins to reorganize. This is not metaphor, it's physics. The law of vibration precedes the law of attraction. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are, vibrationally. So if you're breathing in patterns of stress or fear, even unconsciously, your field becomes discordant. The hologram reflects back delay, resistance, confusion, but breathe with peace, joy, or gratitude, and the hologram reshapes to match. The ancients knew this. In temples, initiates were trained to breathe in silence, sometimes for hours, before entering sacred rituals. Not because breath was ornamental, but because breath aligned them with the divine geometry of creation. Breath tuned their field to the sacred pattern of life itself, and in doing so, they altered what the hologram would show them next. Not as reaction, but as reflection. Every breath you take is a chance to retune your signal. You are not separate from the universe, you are entangled with it, and your breath is your tuning fork. So if you ever wonder why certain patterns repeat, look to your frequency, then look to your breath. Because when you master the breath, you don't just change how you feel, you change the entire projection of the life movie playing around you. You were never meant to just survive through breath, you were meant to create with it. Every inhale is a choice, every exhale a declaration. And when breath is fused with belief, emotion, and awareness, you no longer walk blindly through reality. You shape it moment by moment, vibration by vibration. This is not mysticism. It's remembering. You're not here to react to the hologram. You're here to recode it, to breathe with such presence and power that the universe has no choice but to reorganize itself around your frequency. So the next time you feel small, scattered, or stuck, don't reach outside yourself. Breathe in, return to the command center, and remember, you are the breath of the cosmos, shaping matter with every pulse. If this message resonated, breathe it in, and subscribe to the Cosmic Awakening channel to keep tuning your frequency to truth, power, and higher knowing.